Welcome to Stay Paid Real Estate Marketing. Unlock the secrets of success in the real estate world, where each episode delivers valuable tips and strategies to elevate your marketing game and help you succeed in both life and business. Brought to you by Reminder Media.
Welcome to Stay Paid. My name is Joshua Stike.
I am Luke Akery. I'm seeing Jesse say we ended up with 12 at Tom Ferry, and I'm like, I closed more than I thought I did, I guess.
You did?
I guess.
Yeah, you said this morning it was...
I just was trying to close everybody I could. There was, not a lot of people there, and they weren't stopping by the booth. I was grabbing them in. I mean,
that's fantastic.
If you're listening to this and we're
maybe
at the Tom
some
Ferry,
people signed up online.
Thank you for coming back. I doubt it. I didn't even point people to online. We didn't even point people there. Well, we gave out barely anything, but it shows you and that's the whole topic.
That's going to be the topic.
Yeah, the topic of what we're talking about today came kind of out of this conference, but. Yeah, there was just such slow traffic, and I was trying to pull everybody. That's funny though. That makes me feel better about myself.
You just got back from a Tom Ferry. It was a one-day event, and you thought you had 8, but you got 12.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know how many I'm closing.
Well, look, it's inevitable in every business, including yours, who is listening to this. Market shift, economic changes happen, supply and demand fluctuates. The question isn't when or will a market shift occur. The important part is, are you prepared mentally and strategically when the shift occurs? So once you've recognized the shift, what can you do to thrive while others simply try and survive?
Yes. So obviously with everything going on right now with this NAR settlement that's coming down the pipe, and at this point, it's kind of old news, and hopefully you've been researching it and watching tons of videos around it. But it's no doubt that that's causing a shift industry-wide because it's shifting commissions, it's shifting the way we do business, but you naturally have a shift right now in real estate in the market, right? You have a shift in interest rates, you have a shift in inventory, so all this stuff causes what? When you have shifts, it causes people to get panicked. Mm-hmm. Or I should say you have shifts, it causes people to be confused. Confusion without being dealt with causes panic. Panic, if you don't actually solve that panic, then that's going to lead to absolute chaos. It's going to lead to you not doing anything. It's going to lead to you being depressed.
Indecision.
Yep.
Not moving.
Exactly.
Right?
So we want to talk about hey, look, it is a shifting market. The thought process I always have is the Warren Buffett thought process is when everybody's running away, you run towards, and there's this other principle in investing. You buy when there's blood in the streets, even when the blood is your own. Meaning an investor's rule of thumb is that basically you have an opportunity right now to double down and to go all in, even if the blood is your own, even if you've been suffering because of this whole shift, because you've lost buyers or you've lost whatever, because of the shift, you have an opportunity. But the reason why I think that's so powerful, that even if it's your own, is because when you get hurt yourself, you have a tendency to want to retract into your shell, and that's the opposite of what you need to do. And you need to focus on having a growth mindset versus having a what I would call paralysis by analysis mindset. Most people will pull back and they'll analyze. Yeah. And all they do is analyze themselves to death instead of staying in the growth mindset and the offensive. They'll go to defensive.
Yeah. So the idea of mindset and kind of what goes along with it, I think there's 3 bullet points here that you have right now. So the first one is you've got to embrace the change, which is very similar to what you're saying. Instead of running away from it, you got to not only run into it, but you got to embrace what's actually changing.
Yep. Embrace the change, maintain a growth mindset, and stay positive. And I read a quote today on the 5 a.m. Club. There's this study done. It was a Brian Tracy quote, but he's the one who talks about it a lot, about what is the core differentiator between successful people and non-successful people. And one of the biggest correlations they saw was optimism. They saw that successful people were insanely optimistic. They see the glass as half full, not half empty. And when I think about why optimism causes success, it's very obvious. All of us would say success comes from taking action and staying consistent. Discipline is having the ability to do something for long periods of time. It's like showing up at the highest level, doing the things you don't want to do for long periods of time. And optimism keeps you moving forward because you keep taking action. You don't see failure. I could see the Tom Ferry event yesterday as a failure for us because we didn't quite hit our goal that we wanted to hit. I could see it as a failure, or I could see it as the opportunity that it was. Wow, we learned about what we need to do differently on one-day events. Wow, we had the ability to connect with so many great people, especially this one coach down in Philly. We had all these opportunities pop out of it, and I can use that as my fuel to determine what I'm going to do for the next event. And that optimism, I just tend to be an optimistic person by nature. That optimism keeps me moving forward and doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And if you think about winning in life, it's all about just taking action and doing, and then just persisting through.
I think a lot of people, because I have done this myself, I think a lot of people like mix up or conflate optimism with contentment. Like this idea that like, if you're not happy with how things are going, well, then you're a pessimist. Well, no, not necessarily. Optimism is more about believing in what you are doing and continuing to push, believing that if you keep going or if you keep learning or you keep doing X, Y, Z, like that will work out because you have that much belief in what you're actually doing.
And you just got to choose it. Like every morning I'm trying to set this culture in my home where I don't know if you've ever done anything like this. It's like I put on music, like there's this song by Forrest Frank called Good Day. Or the Nappy Roots, Good Day.
Yeah, my children have rolled their eyes multiple times at me because I'm that guy in the morning who's like, all right, guys, it's going to be a great day.
Yeah, exactly.
Going to the bus stop or driving to school. All right, don't have a good day. Have a great day. Go make today count. You got this. Like, Dad. Okay.
I want to, and my wife is so the opposite of that. She's just like,
really?
You're too much. You're too much for me this morning. It's like,
I'm the annoying morning person. 100%.
I want my kids. My wife will oftentimes go, Evie, sorry, Dad's been up for 3 hours already, so he's ready to go. And it's like, because even Evie's like, no. And I'm like, no, it's going to be a good day. But that optimism, you want to create that culture of almost in a way people would say blind optimism, but yes, blind optimism of like, no, it's going to be a good day. Yeah. This is going to work out. This is going to be amazing because it can help you. And the way that works is you're optimistic and then you don't stop there. Optimism without action doesn't do you any good. Optimism with action does you the good. And so you're optimistic and you keep moving forward and you take action. And that leads to really the other bullet point that I put down, which is sharpening your skills, using the time of a shift to sharpen your skills, to go back into your business and really go, okay, I've got to get better at what I'm doing. And I've got to actually spend time sharpening my skills. Why? Because when a shift happens, messaging changes. So your messaging of your script, your messaging of your presentation, your messaging of your marketing, your messaging changes to your employees and your team members. And the only way you get good at another message is that you sharpen your skills. What do I mean by that? Well, the NAR lawsuit's perfect example. Is you need to right now be watching every video you can on the education of the NAR lawsuit and how consumers are perceiving it and what it actually means if you're an agent, so you can sharpen your skills, because you need to be able to deliver with confidence and communication to those clients and prospects what your plan is, what you know about it, what you're doing for them. And that's going to influence belief in both them and in you. Yeah. But if you don't spend time sharpening your skills, you won't have confidence. Confidence comes from preparation. Yeah. When you're prepared, you're confident. Preparation comes from spending time sharpening your skills.
And like purposefully look out different points of view, especially on something like that, where you want to find people that, you know, have the opposite to say of what maybe you would naturally think or want or normally look at. Your YouTube algorithm is so fine-tuned to feeding your own personal bias. You have to intentionally go outside of that to get different points of view, because that'll prepare you for any conversation, for any potential, you know. And then there's also like kind of this idea of sharpening your skills. Like we talked about this before. When you learn a new skill, like you actually learn not just how to get better in that skill, you actually you're preparing yourself to get better in every skill, in any skill, because you're actually building those muscles that allow you to get better. So
I would say one of the best things you can do in a shifting market to apply the first principle of changing your mindset or keeping a growth mindset and sharpening your skills is going to a conference, going to a mastermind. Change your environment. If you want to change your mindset, change your environment. If you want to sharpen your skills, get around people who have better skills in an area than you have. So going to a conference is an incredible way to light a spark, to get you thinking differently, to get you motivated, to get you out of your own head. So I would just tell you, sharpen your skills. If you want an action item on that, go to a conference.
Yeah. So definitely mindset, learning new things, but then you also have to kind of bring it back to reality, which is the data side of it. Yes. So you want to make sure that during a shifting market, you're also being mindful and being driven by the reality.
I think everybody, when you go into a recession period or you go into a shift in a market, you have to be real and go, hey, look, I can't waste any money. And I have to apply the Gary Keller principle of leading with revenue. So which means, one, you got to know your numbers. So you got to be data driven. So you got to go in down and look at what are my numbers? What is actually working? Tom Ferry says this all the time, speaking of the Tom Ferry event, run the plays that work. Question for you. Do you know the plays that work? That's where you start. The only way you know the plays that work is because you're tracking your data. And you can't improve or measure that which you don't track. So you have to track your data. You want to be data driven, and you want to look down at your marketing and go, what's working in my marketing and how can I double down on that? You want to look at your client experience. What's working in my client experience? How do I double down on that? You want to look in your messaging for your brand. What's working in my client or in my brand, and how do I double down on that messaging? And I shared on a other Silver Dollar, hopefully you guys have listened to it, where I said, look, your brand is what your clients say about you when you're not there. And the best consulting you can ever do is call 5, 10 of your clients today and ask them what they say about your brand. And you can see, okay, this is what's working and what people appreciate about me right now. How do I double down on that? So you got to be data driven, going all the way down to the details of what you're spending and where you're spending it, and cut off the 30% that you don't need, that you gotten fat, happy, and lazy about, and really get data driven and lead with revenue.
Yeah. Well, data can certainly change. Markets can certainly change. One thing that doesn't change is how people want to be treated, which leads us to the next point, which is this idea of focusing, getting super hyper focused on the client experience, on the client service side.
Yeah, because in a shifting market, if you think like, what is the thing that is the most important? It's your communication. And I share this often, but you can see it in the NAR lawsuit. Where is NAR failing? If you really watch the videos and see what's happened, you go, wow, NAR was really backed into a corner. To be real, they didn't have an option. They chose the worst of, or the least worst of the options they had. So they didn't really have an option in the settlement that they did. And maybe you can make some statements that, yeah, if they years ago, if they would have done things differently, they'd have different options. But at this point, they didn't have the options. But where they're failing today, they didn't break the news to their members. The news got leaked. They didn't get ahead of it in the media and get surrogates out there preaching the same message over and over and over and over again. They haven't been ultimately communicating as much as they should. And if anybody from NAR is watching this, I am telling you, what you need to do is you have to get ahead from a narrative perspective, and you have to control the communication to your clients. So what does that mean? In a shifting market, you have an opportunity to control the narrative and communication, and it is a golden opportunity. It doesn't have to just be on something bad like a settlement or something like that. It can be on the things that people need to understand. You can educate your prospects on what's happening in this market, where they need to be focused, what this means for them, and it automatically elevates you as the authority, as the knowledge broker. And when you get yourself into a place of trust from a broker knowledge standpoint, that's when people use you and they buy from you. And so people fail all the time in their client experience because they don't over communicate. You need to over communicate. The other thing that I would look at is okay, not only am I going to communicate, but how do I double down with my sphere to get referrals in this shifting market? Because all your lead gen sources that are not referral based,
they get wishy-washy.
Yes, they change so much, unpredictable, that you're going to spend a lot of money there trying to adjust potentially. But referrals, that's the best lead. It's the most trusted lead. It's the free lead. And so you need to double down on your client service so you're treating people amazingly. And then also you have in your client service journey, you have the ability to ask them for referrals. We get thousands and thousands of referrals every year because we ask our clients for referrals in our client journey.
We would get dozens and dozens maybe if we didn't just simply ask. All right, so the other idea here and the final point that we'll kind of hit on is this idea of niching down. So if you're in a shifting market, you look for the opportunities, maybe narrow in.
That comes down to the data too. Right? You're looking in your data, what's working.
Yep.
And you go, do I have an opportunity here? And what you want to look for is you want to be a problem solver, and you want to look for the niche that makes sense in this market right now. What is the niche that makes sense? What can you double down on in that niche to really, really push your business forward? And those who adjust and shift in their business to go after like a certain niche in a market, that's where they really, really thrive, instead of trying to cast such a wide net, because now's not the time to be doing too much R&D from a spend perspective. Now is the time to double down on what you know works in a shift market, and you need to see the niche that is working for you.
And, we talk about data, you talk about the market and what it's saying, like the other points that you brought up, focusing on the client experience, asking your clients about your brand, like those types of things, those will also uncover maybe some niches that you didn't even realize.
1,000%.
All right, there you go. Thank you so much for listening. You can head on over to staypaidpodcast.com for the show notes as well as the video of this episode. If you like this episode and want to show your support, review us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a note, a comment with that review. We'll read it here on the show. You can also review us on Spotify. We'd greatly appreciate that. And the best way to support the show is to share this with someone that you know. Share it on your social media. Just refer out the show to someone that might find it beneficial. We really appreciate that. All right, I went to a restaurant the other day. Went out to dinner.
Nice.
Put it that way. Steakhouse. Went to a steakhouse.
Nice.
The other day. The waiter asked me how I liked my steak, and I told him I liked it like winning an argument with my wife. And he said, "Rare it is, then." Now, you had that queued up way too fast. You didn't know where that was headed.
He knew it was coming.
It's a sad trumpet day.
If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. You can follow us on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. You can follow us on TikTok.
Yes.
We're at StayPaid_podcast. Definitely check us out on Instagram. We got some fun polls. We're doing like some brackets. I don't know if it'll still be going out here in April, but I think it will. I think we're going to continue this. We talked earlier today. Maybe we do a IHOP versus Waffle.
Yeah, some good fast food
Trashy
polls.
restaurant do you like the most?
Yeah.
Bracket. I think we agree. Waffle House.
Yeah, Waffle House is awesome.
Waffle House
We're
is
team
amazing.
Waffle House. Yeah. There you go. If you for this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike. I think.
He thinks I'm Luke Acree. The only problem with Waffle House is your shoes get sticky when you walk on the floor.
So sticky.
Here's your action item from this, right? Is I want you to realize, hey, it's all about a growth mindset. To get a growth mindset is you need to be around others with a growth mindset. You need to find a conference or a mastermind that you can join, you can be a part of, to get around people that are growing like you're growing, that can challenge you. At the very least, get an accountability partner that is keeping you accountable and motivating you. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.